Hi everyone, thanks for tuning into my channel, Huub Hildenbrand Guitar Academia. Today we will have another lesson on ThreeNote structures, and we will talk about voice leading. And what we will do, actually, we will take the Quintfall-Sequence, so the sequence where we move by fourths up or fifths down, like the root progression, move down through the diatonic chords. Remember, we take like two tonalities, actually, because it's a guitar academia. Also, we choose most of our material to start with the root E. So we have E major and E minor, and in this lesson we will talk about the this Quintfall-Sequence in E major. And we will talk about two variants with like secondary dominance, and you will see. All right, and go down in the description below. There is a PDF for this lesson where you see like the notation, and also this helps supporting my channel, of course. Would be really cool. Thanks. Okay, this what I'm always referring to as Quintfall-Sequence, like it's a German word, is actually just cycle 4. Cycle 4 in the through the different diatonic chords. In this case, in E major. So if we just always go one diatonic fourth higher, then we will reach the whole cycle. That's why it's also called like a cycle of 4. For example, we start with E major, then we go a perfect fourth up to A major. Then we go, in this case, it's not a perfect fourth. We don't have a D there, but we have a D sharp. We have a D sharp diminished chord. So we, in a way, we alter our, or not alter, actually, we just take the diatonic version of our fourths, which we have in the scale. So we don't have a perfect fourth of A in E major, but we have an augmented fourth. So we go from A to D sharp. Then we go up another perfect fourth to G sharp minor as a chord. Then another perfect fourth up to C sharp. It's also C sharp minor chord. Then another perfect fourth up to F sharp minor. Then another perfect fourth up to B major or B dominant seventh, depends, but it's a B major triad. And then the cycle closes when we go back another perfect fourth up to E major. And we decided, actually, in this lesson, I got this concept from Goodrick, actually. This is like all these different cycles. We have cycle 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and we don't say, oh, it's going cycle 4 down or cycle 4 up or something like that. We just say it's cycle 4. That means that that we go in fourths up, but it also implies that we go down in fifths, just the inversion of that. If we say it's cycle 5, we would go from E major to B major, yeah? And it doesn't matter in which direction. That's actually the idea. Okay, all right. What we will do now, we will take the E major, the chords, the triads, just the plain triads in E major, and we will do voice leading. So what I did also on this page here is I started with a drop 2 voicing. Drop 2, yeah, we will not talk about that. If you don't know, like drop 2, drop 3, and so on, or close position, then check out the lessons on that topic. We talked really a lot about these 3-note voicings, the different types, different spacings, and like there are like 19 different possibilities of 3-note structures, and so on. So I will put the link down in the description below so that you can directly check this out if you don't know this already. Okay, so we take a drop 2. We take a drop 2, E major root position, triad. That's that. And now, when we think about voice leading, of course, we try to go to the nearest version of the next chord. So we go now to A major. We go perfect fourth up with the root of the chord, and to A major, we actually have one common tone. We have the E. The E is the root in E major, but at the same time, it's the fifth in A major. So whenever we have that, we want to keep that. And by the way, there's also another lesson on like voice leading, like thinking voice leading and voice leading rules and thoughts about that. So I'm just going quickly over that here. The next step, besides, so that's all what we have on with common tones. It's just the E is in both chords present. And the next step would be to look, are there half steps possible? So we go for the nearest, for the closest. We try to do like the least distance, so to speak, to the next chord. And we have a half step. We go from G sharp to A, yeah, from the major third of E major to the root of A major. And the remaining note, the B, can just go to C sharp, and then we are at the third. It's just a major second, so it's also very, very close. So we go from, yeah. So we take a 3-note structure, and we think about voice leading and go to the next 3-note structure in this cycle 4. Now, the cool thing is that we just have established a voice leading rule. Because if we want to go on through the cycle, through the whole cycle, we just follow the rules which we just found out, or we just established. So the rules are just all happening here. They're actually like three rules. How I come from this chord to the next chord. The first rule is the fifth stays and becomes, sorry, not the fifth. The root stays and becomes the fifth of the next chord. Yeah? In this case, the E stays and becomes, the root of E major stays and becomes the fifth of A major. The fifth goes up a step, or like a diatonic step. It depends on the scale, of course, whether it's a minor second or major second or even an augmented second, but it's a step in the scale. And normally when we take these heptatonics, like the normal 7-note scales, it's like any kind of a second. So we go from B to C sharp. So we go up a step from the fifth to the third of the next chord. And we go from the third up a step to the next chord's root. And this step can be also anything. It can be a minor second, it can be major second, it can be augmented second. Just common tones stay. They are always like they are common in both chords when you stay in a certain diatonic scale. Then there will be no variation. Yeah, so a common tone is always a common tone. It's always staying. It's always yeah, not moving. All right, so now if we take this, and that's why this whole thing is boxed there on the PDF, and also there's written like Voiceleading rule. So we can just apply this rule, and this will automatically lead us to the next chord in the cycle. So E major going to A major. Now I don't have to know what is the next chord. I can approach this differently. I can think about, okay, I have the E major scale, so I have all possible notes, and now I'm just following this voice leading rule. Okay, I will go through that. So I'm in A major now, and A major, I know, okay, how was it? The root stays. Okay, the root stays, becomes the fifth of the next chord. Yeah, I do not even have to think about like that's the fifth of the next chord. I just have to think about, okay, the root stays. Okay, and the root of A major is of course this A. So this will stay. So I already have a note which is in the next triad, in the next chord of the progression. Now, I also know, okay, actually both of the other voices, they just move up by steps, by seconds in the scale. So what do I have here? I have the fifth, the E, and I have the third, the C sharp, and they move both in the scale one step higher. In this case, they both move a major second. E to F sharp, C sharp to D sharp. Yeah? So I have F sharp, I have D sharp, and I have my A here. And to make it more simple, I can just play it like that. And that's a D sharp diminished chord, a D sharp diminished triad. So this, you should check out this for yourself, and maybe also take another scale just for practice. How this actually works, that you just think voice leading, and this will always give you the next complete triad. And by the way, there's also one important aspect here. The voice leading of these first two chords, so the voice leading rule, I in a way it's good, or it's I would say it's safe or you have to go like more in a safe way if you go on with a cycle, that you stay in the same like drop form. Because sometimes with other chords, also with especially with non like traditional triads, major, minor, diminished, augmented, you sometimes mix up, like you go from a closed position, then you find a nice voice leading which leads you to a drop 2 voicing, and when you go on with that kind of voice leading rule, or when you apply it in different inversions and things, then it can become quite messy actually, like that maybe some voices are actually crossing, that a higher voice will become a lower voice, so they will just cross, and that we try, like generally we try to avoid that. We want to have like always the same kind of drop form, that we just can go through all these cycles and do a lot of stuff, and also we know, okay, we are dealing with this kind of category. But of course, when it's about music, about composing, about thinking, about finding new ways and things, then of course you can do whatever. I mean, sure. Up until now, we actually did not talk something new, because I already talked about all these things in other lessons, when we talked about the cycles, the diatonic cycles, and there you have actually all these voice leading rules of all 6 different cycles, And the thing I was actually quite a lot like working on was to think about these other structures, which are not traditional triads. Because yeah, I found out that there are like 19 different three-note structures. So there are 19 possibilities of any 3 different notes, and so, and also I really think like 3-note structures are like played harmonically, so all the notes at the same time are really like sounding very good on the guitar. Yeah, they give you a kind of like transparency. It's not too messy. As soon as you add one note, as soon as you have like 4 notes at the same time, it becomes I think it becomes a bit more messy. Of course, it depends very much on the voicings, and especially on the sound. What your on your guitar sound. What kind of guitar sound you have. There are so many different possibilities. With my guitar, I feel I have to be really careful with 4-note structures. So I really have to find the ones which really work in a good way on the guitar, and I was quite busy with that also. But the cool thing is with these 3-note structures is also that you have every time you have at least one finger free, and you're just more free to move, and you hear more the individual pitches. So you can really nicely work on voice leading. And so this is, I think it's more suited to the instrument in a way, like more like using also this polyphony approach to, and not play always like these big chords. But of course, I mean, it's really, I mean, while I'm saying that, I have in my mind, in my inner ear, I have all these sounds like Mick Goodrick, or like people like Ben Wonder, or yeah, all these people like playing these huge chords. And also Mick Goodrick, he plays a lot of also like 5-note chords, and with his sound it's beautiful, it's great, you know. But with this more maybe acoustic, more mellow, more oud kind of a sound, it's not working in the same way. Okay, anyway, that's just a side story here. So I was busy with these 3-note voicings, and I thought about to find like really like natural like tonal occurrences of 3-note structures which are not traditional triads. And what I actually did, I was thinking a lot about voice leading, and then I was approaching like chords or playing chord progressions with voice leading, and like with passing tones and anything. And then I figured out a certain voice leading patterns which really work great in like tonal music. They're very strong, using all this stuff we talked about, like maybe secondary dominance, or like just 7th chords, or like Neapolitan chord, or augmented 6th chords, and this kind of stuff. And but they are like not traditional triads, major, minor, diminished, augmented, but they really represent very well this sound, this chord, although they're just like 3 notes. Maybe you will get the whole thing what I'm telling you now, maybe a bit later when I showed you. I will just go on with this stuff and keep that in mind, and then you will understand what what I mean actually. It's not too abstract here. What I will do, I will have now another version of this whole progression of this Quintfall-Sequence, cycle 4, and I will do an extra step here with my voice leading. So what I actually will do, I will approach the third of the next chord with just like this cambiata. This I go from not from B directly to the C sharp, but I will go one step above the C sharp and then back to the C sharp. Yeah, I will. So in a way, I'm approaching the C sharp from 2 ways. One way is B C sharp, and the other way is D sharp C sharp. But I'm not directly going from the first note to the C sharp. So I can either go actually like, or I can go. It's the same thing. It's both. It's like or. Okay, and I do this with these chords, and the voice leading rule now becomes a little bit altered. What I'm doing now is I go from the 5th of the chord, not directly to the 3rd, but instead I move from the 5th to the 7th, to the diatonic 7th. I'm staying in the E major key, and I go first from B to the major 3rd, major 7th, and then resolving that to the next chord. So it goes like that. Or I can also hold the other notes while I'm just. Now I will actually play every note. I mean, I will strike the whole chord, and so you have actually here you have this E major 7th chord, and this E major 7th chord is also just this 3-note structure, which really represents the E major like the E major 7th 4-part structure, yeah, especially in that context, of course, because I showed the 5ths before. So when I play that, it almost can only be this E major 7th chord, but I'm just playing a 3-note voicing. And by the way, it's also just this chord type, what is really very frequently used in jazz, where we just put the root in the bottom, and then we just have the 3rd and the 7th on the G and D string, and then moving through the progressions. So this, in a way, these chords which are now following, they are all like variations or inversions of that kind of jazz chord 3-note structure. But yeah, if you know these structures, if you know these jazz chords, then you will understand that. Okay, so I have this voice leading rule, and I will just go on with that. So now from that chord, A major, I also go from my 5th to the major 7th. Yeah, so that's an inversion actually of that chord. It's the same as that, but on A. So it sounds like yeah. So in this case, the movement happens in the bass. and then I can just go on with that approach. And you see this all on the page. It's written down, so the PDF down in the description below is a link. And I play the full cycle to show it to you, that you get an idea. E major 7, A major 7, D diminished, D minor 7 flat 5. I will not talk actually. I will just let's just enjoy the sounds. I think it's very, very beautiful. I like this a lot. And of course, when we are when the cycle closed now, it's actually not really closed, because yes, we reached our starting chord E major, but we reached it in a different inversion. So it's like in the second inversion now. Yeah, it's a different version than this. And so we can actually move on with that. We can go. Now we played and played, and now we reach E major again, but again in a different inversion. So this is like first inversion. The G sharp is in the bass. So here the E is in the bass, here the B is in the bass, here is the G sharp in the bass. So where will we reach if we go on with that? We have all inversions shown, and they are all job 2 voicings. Huh? You have all, you just showed like all job 2 voicings of E major, all inversions and root position. Let's go on and see. So, E major, try it. Ah, yeah. I'm sorry, I was off here. So C sharp minor, F sharp minor. Now that's it. Now we reached our E major chord in root position. So that's E, B, G sharp, E, B, G sharp. So we did all this. We have to play these cycles 3 times to reach all these different inversions. And it's a lot of fun actually, because these sounds are very nice, and you should really take your time and listen to the sounds and really think about all these what's happening here. Okay, it's an E major triad. Okay, here it's first inversion, G sharp is in the bass. So now to go to A major, I first go with my fifths of the chord. I go to the major 7, so it's here. Okay, then I have to play this note better here. So I have this one. Or there are always different possibilities how to play it. But really think voice leading, you know, like think. It's not. Actually, these there will be also more in the next lessons. These patterns, these exercises, these voice leading rules, and so on. I don't see them too much as something you practice and then you have it down and then you can just play it. It's more like an exercise in thinking, in awareness, in being in that mode of thinking voice leading and enjoying the sounds. And So I will just, from time to time, I come back to that, and I just go through certain cycles, or I invent something new, and I just go through these other chords in that cycle, and I'm satisfied still when already when I'm not really able to play this very fluently. It's just because it's a lot of stuff you can sync, and there are a lot of like alternate fingerings also, and for most of the structures, and so it's always a bit challenging, I think. Or you just fix one version, of course. When you fix one version, you just practice that, and you can go very quickly. But then, what you practiced and how you actually improvise in the that's like these worlds are like completely apart, you know. I mean, here's this improvisation, and you have to think how to go from one to the next, and there is this finished product, and maybe it also will disturb your improvisation, because then you very easily you switch into this finished product, and then you just play something what you do not really feel maybe at the moment. So actually, my practice is maybe more to try to to push doors open, but not to fix everything what's in the room. Okay, interesting. All right. Now, what we will do now, we will bring this whole thing one step further, and we will include secondary dominants, and that's very. We take actually the same voice leading rule which we took for that progression with these added diatonic sevens, going to the next. But instead now of going to the next diatonic seventh chord, we go to the secondary dominant, which means that we have to make sure that the root and the root of the secondary dominant is there, and it will just be the same as the let me put it like that. We have to make sure that this secondary dominant, the seventh chord, we play our after our diatonic triad, has a major third and a minor seventh and the root. So, for example, if we go from E major triad to the next diatonic seventh chord, we have actually a major seventh, but we need a minor seventh. Okay? So we have a D. Yeah? So we have a minor seventh, the root, and the major third. And that goes now to A major. Yeah, and really progressing in the nice way. I will skip the next. I will just go directly to G sharp minor. When we have G sharp minor, we think, okay, the fifth goes to the seventh of the key, so G sharp minor seventh, and when we reach that note, we are not really ready, because that's not our secondary dominant. It has a root, it has a minor seventh, but it has a minor third here. So we also have to alter the third to a major third, that it really becomes this dominant sound and will resolve to the next diatonic chord. Okay, I skipped the A major chord to the D sharp diminished chord because the D sharp diminished chord is not really like, cannot really work as a kind of temporary or secondary tonic. Yeah, it's a very, it's not a stable sound. So I can't really, it's not useful to play a dominant chord and actually in this case that's funny. Oh, okay, if I play like a C dominant 7 going to this chord, it's not a D sharp diminished anymore. It's like an F sharp minor 6. So like going to D sharp would be like A sharp dominant, so A sharp to D sharp diminished. And that doesn't really sound like a secondary dominant resolving to a kind of secondary tonic, because if you use a secondary dominant, you automatically you make your target chord a secondary tonic. Yeah. So what we do actually here, we keep the diatonic variation of that. So we keep the diatonic version. We go from A major triad to A major 7s, and then to D sharp diminished. But then from D sharp diminished, we go to D sharp dominant 7s, to G minor. Yeah, so we have to also here, we have to alter like 2 notes, or change 2 notes. We have to go from the A to the minor 7s, C sharp of D sharp diminished, or D sharp minor 7 flat 5. And also we have to alter the minor 3rd to the major 3rd to reach that chord. So I will just go through this through the cycle that you hear that, and it's all written down. PDF is waiting for you. All right, E major. And of course, this also goes on until we are at our starting chord 2 octaves higher in this case. So E major in root position. Okay, you find everything on the page what we just played, and of course, you can also do the whole thing, all these all that music there. You can also put that in the different spacings into like drop 3 voicings, or 3-way closed, like closed positions, or double drop 2, drop 3, whatever, in all these different kinds of forms. But we will also talk about that in the next lesson with a bit other material, but 3-note structures will be our thing for the next few lessons. And there's another thing, just a theoretical thing here, what's also written there. It's the interesting thing, if you use your diatonic triads and add the different secondary dominants. And I'm not speaking about adding the 5ths actually, because we're just dealing with root, 3rd, and 7th. That's all. So it's like the essence or the core of the dominant 7th sound. Then we come up with the whole chromatic scale, which can it's a way actually of thinking. Okay, we have the diatonic scale, 7 notes, and whenever we have any other note, like a chromatic alteration, a note which is not fitting in that scale, there are just 5, then we can maybe first think about, okay, what kind of secondary dominant that would be. What kind of secondary dominant would give us that note? It's mostly the major third of the secondary dominant, which creates a leading tone upwards to a diatonic step. But that's a kind of interesting thing. So in a way, you only need that what we talked about today, like diatonic material plus these secondary dominants. Then you have the whole complete set of our 12 pitches, different notes. So it's interesting, maybe for you too. All right, so that's that's it for the lesson. I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you are well, you're feeling well, and everything is cool, and you are inspired to go on with that stuff here. Please don't forget to subscribe to my channel and click the bell button. There you get notifications when the new video will be released, which is the case every week. And also you can donate. Just go down the description below. There's a link to my website, hoophildenbrand.com. There the Guitar Academia site. And there you find a button where you can donate. So this would be really cool if you want to support my channel, this channel here, and get involved in the whole process here. It would be really great. I would really appreciate that. Thanks so much, and thanks for watching. My name is Hoophildenbrand.